If you're wondering how Trump's massive new bill could affect your personal finance, you're in the right place. In the next couple of minutes, I'll break down exactly how this 900-page legislation affects your taxes, deductions, and benefits with zero political spin. Just the financial facts that matter to your wallet. And we're starting with something absolutely insane that most people have no idea is happening. If you work in restaurants, drive for Uber, do delivery, work overtime, or earn tips in any job, the government just made a change that could put $2,000 to $5,000 back in your pocket this year. Under the big, beautiful bill, you can deduct up to $25,000 of tip income from your taxes. That means you basically pay zero income tax on those tips. Let's take the example of a random Jessica who works as a server at a local restaurant. She makes $30,000 in wages and about $20,000 in tips. Under this new rule, she can deduct up to $25,000 of those tips, which means she basically only pays income tax on $5,000 of her income, and she saves over $2,000 to $3,000 in taxes every year. She could use those savings to buy a used car, a vacation, or a nice emergency fund. The income limits for these deductions are reasonable: $75,000 for singles and $150,000 for married couples. If you make more than that, you start losing some of the benefits. But here's the thing. If you're making $150,000 a year and still getting significant tips or overtime, you're probably doing pretty well anyway. Here's a smart money tip for you. If you're currently not reporting all your cash tips, you have to start doing that now to enjoy the benefits of this bill. But it's not only people who earn tips that are getting deductions from the government. The bill also has something in store for seniors. There's a brand new senior bonus deduction that nobody's talking about enough. Starting in 2025 through 2028, if you're 65 or older and filing single, you get an additional $6,000 deduction on top of your standard tax deduction. If you're married and both spouses are 65 or older, you get a $12,000 bonus deduction. Let me break this down with an example. Let's say my uncle, Bob, who is 67, lives on Social Security and a small pension. He makes about $40,000 a year. Normally, he'd pay taxes on some of that income. But with his regular deduction plus this new $6,000 senior bonus, he's getting $22,750 completely tax-free. That's more than half his income that the government won't touch. For married couples, it's even better. If both spouses are over 65, they get $45,500 in tax-free income. That's enough to live comfortably in many parts of the country without paying a single dollar in federal income tax. The phase-out rules are pretty generous, too. The bonus starts shrinking at $75,000 for singles and $150,000 for married couples. But even if you're slightly above those limits, you still get something. A single senior making $80,000 would still get a $1,000 bonus, which saves them real money. Now let's talk about families with kids and how this bill affects them, because this next part is huge. The child tax credit just jumped from $2,000 to $2,200 per child. But it gets even more interesting. This deduction grows with inflation every single year. Think about it like this. If you have 2 kids, you just got a $400 raise this year, and it keeps growing. This means it will automatically increase over time as costs rise, which is something that's never happened before with this credit. So, say for example, my friend Mike has 3 kids. Under the old system, he got $6,000 in child tax credits. Now he gets $6,600, and next year it might be $6,800, then $7,000, and it keeps climbing. But there are some things you need to know about qualifying for these benefits. 1. Your child must have a valid Social Security number, and at least one parent must also have a valid Social Security number. Also, the credit starts shrinking if you make more than $200,000 as a single parent or $400,000 as a married couple. But wait, before we continue with more benefits, there's something happening that's got people really divided, and you need to know about it whether you like it or not. While some people are getting more money under this bill, others might be getting less. The biggest change affects the SNAP program, which used to be called food stamps. Let me be clear about what SNAP is. It's basically government assistance that helps low-income families buy groceries. About 42 million Americans rely on SNAP benefits to put food on the table. This bill makes some major changes that could affect millions of those people. First, the benefits will now be recalculated every 3 years instead of every 5 years. On the surface, that sounds good because it means benefits could go up with inflation more often. But here's where it gets complicated. States now have to pay a bigger share of the costs, and not every state is going to be happy about that. Also, another really big change that's got people talking is that the work requirements are expanding. Right now, if you're between 18 and 49 and you're able to work, you have to have a job or be in job training to get SNAP benefits. The new bill raises that age to 54. So if you're 52, unemployed, and rely on SNAP, you'll now need to find work or enter a training program to keep your benefits. They're phasing this in slowly through 2025 and 2027, but it's still a major change. If you're someone you know relies on SNAP benefits, this isn't something you can ignore. The changes are coming whether we like them or not, and staying informed about what's happening in your specific state could literally be the difference between having enough food and going hungry. Let me know in the comments what you think about these SNAP changes, because this is where people have the strongest opinions. But now let's get back to the money you could be saving, because there's something about cars that's going to surprise everyone. So, there's a new car loan interest deduction. You know how you can deduct the interest on your house? Well, now you can deduct up to $10,000 per year in interest on your car loan, but only if you buy an American-made vehicle. So, let's say your cousin, Danny, just bought a new Ford F-150 for $45,000. He financed it at 7% interest, which means he's paying about $3,000 in interest the first year. Under this new rule, he can deduct every penny of that $3,000, which saves him about $700 in taxes. It's like getting a $700 rebate just for buying American. The catch is the vehicle has to be purchased new after this bill becomes law, and it has to be made in America. This includes Ford, GM, Chrysler, and even foreign companies that build cars in American factories. But remember, this benefit only lasts through 2028. If you finance your car for longer than that, you only get the tax deduction for the first few years. This might change how you think about loan terms and whether to finance or pay cash. Now let's talk about something that's going to be massive for people in expensive states. And if you live in New York, California, or New Jersey, you're going to want to pay close attention to this next part. High-tax states have crushing income taxes and property taxes, so a typical homeowner in these states with a $500,000 house might pay $15,000 to $20,000 in property taxes alone, before even considering state income taxes. With the former bill, you can only deduct $10,000 per year in state and local taxes from your federal return. That sounds like a lot, but if you live in a high-tax state, it's nothing. The new bill raises that limit to $40,000 per year, and it grows with inflation. So let's say Maria lives in Long Island. She makes $100,000 a year and owns a modest $400,000 house. Her property taxes alone are $16,000 per year, plus she pays about $6,000 in state income taxes. Under the old rules, she could only deduct $10,000 of that $22,000. Under the new rules, she can deduct the full $22,000, which saves her about $2,600 in federal taxes every year. If you've been thinking about moving from a high-tax state to a low-tax state like Florida or Texas, this changes the math. The financial advantage of moving just got smaller, especially when you factor in the cost and hassle of relocating. This could actually keep families in their home states and stabilize property values in places like California and New York. Now let's talk about the foundation of all this, the income tax rates and standard deduction changes that make everything else possible. The Trump-era tax brackets from 2017 were scheduled to disappear after 2025, which would have meant higher taxes for millions of Americans. This new bill makes those lower rates permanent, which is huge news for your take-home pay. But here's where it gets really interesting. The standard deduction on taxes is jumping significantly for 2025 and beyond. Think of the standard deduction as money the government doesn't tax you on every year. If you were filing as a single person in the past, the government would not tax you on $15,750 of your earnings. Now, that amount has increased to $16,750. The bill is leaving an extra $1,000 you can deduct right off the top. For married couples filing jointly, it's even better, going from $31,500 to $33,500, which is a $2,000 increase. But here's what most people are not paying attention to. These amounts will now adjust for inflation automatically every single year. Think about this for a second. Over the past few years, inflation has been crushing everyone's purchasing power. The prices of your groceries, your gas, your rent has been increasing. Yet, your tax deductions stayed the same. Now, these deductions will actually grow with inflation. So, the higher the prices of goods and services, the lower the tax the government charges you. This automatic adjustment continues through 2028 unless Congress extends it further, and given the political climate, extensions are likely. All right, everyone. That's the complete breakdown of Trump's big, beautiful bill and how it affects your personal finances. The bottom line is this. If you earn tips, work overtime, are over 65, have kids, live in a high-tax state, or are planning to buy an American car, you could save thousands of dollars. But if you rely on SNAP benefits, you need to stay informed about changes in your state. If this video helped you understand where you stand financially, smash that like button and subscribe for more unbiased financial breakdowns. And definitely comment below and let me know which part of this bill affects you the most. I read every single comment and love hearing your stories.